Have you ever seen a couple and wondered how the hell the guy pulled her? This phenomenon happens in nature, and it's been deemed the Oofy Doofy theory. That's Oofy, and he's proof that personality can matter to an extent, somewhat, in the long run at least. So if you're hopeless, this should give you life fuel. Throughout this video, I'm going to be using Selena Gomez and her relationship with Benny Blanco. This in no way reflects their relationship, I'm just using them to explain this theory. Anyways, that's Oofy, as I've mentioned. You can see him in his natural state, and if you haven't noticed, he's somewhat chopped. He probably doesn't take care of himself. He maybe believes in the blue pill. He has good personality. He's a cute, funny guy. And when I say cute, I don't mean by the way he looks. His personality is cute, right? He's all flamboyant. Anyways, these are the 4 stages, rather the life cycle of this theory, in which Oofy is a subject, Chad is involved, and so is the girl. We're just gonna call her Stacy. In the first stage, we're gonna call it Chad or nothing. We have Chad with his arm around Stacy. Hypergamy is in effect, and as you can see here, he's thinking of other women that he can pull. Meanwhile, Oofy's in the corner thinking of her. She's in her prime, right? She's in her peak. We're gonna call it peak. Because she's in her peak, she's going to have a great preference for that 1% of men. As you can see here, he's that 1%. So he's thinking of her, he's thinking of other girls, and she's thinking of Chad. The next stage is Chad ghosting. When Chad ghosts her, and he's saying bye-bye, her heart's broken, there's gonna be some damage, sometimes permanent damage, usually permanent damage. So there's trauma and lost time. With due time, responsibilities start to kick in, the need to settle down. The whole relationship has to get serious, and when Chad sees seriousness and a plethora of options, he's going to scatter, usually. Now, it's not sunshine and rainbows for Chad. He has 2 options, and it's depending on his IQ. If it's high IQ, he's still winning. If it's low IQ, he's suffering. For whatever reason, it didn't work out in that, right? His looks fell off, something went wrong, he got played. Now, it really depends on her emotional standpoint. It could take multiple heartbreaks before she realizes her worth. And from then, she's gonna shift to the next stage, which is Plan Z. When Plan Z initiates, she's suddenly open to settling, and she's gonna be a bit more neutral about things, especially when it comes to guys that she wouldn't be deeming them attractive from the jump. As you can see here in this clip.
I didn't see anything romantic nor really felt that.
A blank stare. Because he's not her true preference. He's not her true preference. Now what Stacy's going to do is prioritize her safety over her sexual preference. Now Oofy can compensate with money and status. But status and money, they're just made up things, right, by men. So naturally speaking, there's not going to be any chemistry there initially. And you can see that here.
And then how it kind of continued was, I was always cautious because I always wanted to make sure that I did protect myself. So to be honest, I didn't talk to him very often.
I thought she hated.
Is that her voice? I never heard her, I think.
Really?
He's sweet.
What?
He's funny. And he's, more importantly, safe. And finally, we're at the last stage where Oofy wins by default. And I say this because he's not the first choice. He's in fact the last choice. But to be fair, he was chosen. A lot of guys don't end up being chosen, so it's a good thing on his part. Oofy didn't win the game. He bagged Stacy because he waited for all the players to leave the game. You understand? So yeah, people are gonna argue that he's the prize. That's because all the other prizes caused damage, emotional damage.
I'm in a better place.
It was a team effort, right? Him and the Chads. He needed some DPS, right, on his team. And then he needed some tanking. And then the healing, you know what I mean? It's a 5-man heroic to score this chick. Unfortunately, everyone else had loot prio. Fucking.
This chart is going to help you understand how you compare to other guys. By plotting your face and your height, you can see what tier you sit at, being that either a normie, high tier normie, Chad light, or Chad. You're probably wondering, what's the point of this? It seems so redundant, you know, why would you compare yourself to other people? But by doing this, you're going to get a better understanding of how desirable you are in this market. If you want to quickly get down to your facial rating or where you kind of sit at, look at this photo and try to be unbiased, see where you fit in, and choose a number and stick to that. Once you've got your number, you can then plot yourself on here. So for instance, if you're 5'9", which is the cutoff right here, being that of manlet height, and you have a 5 out of 10 face card, you're going to be considered a normie. Whereas if you're 5'9" and you have a 6 out of 10 face card, you're then a high tier normie. And so forth. The difference between each tier is a deviation of just 1 unit. It's just a followed pattern, and it makes a lot of sense if you just look here. Anything below this tier, the normie tier, is going to be considered over, right? In reality, you're just going to be far less desired. If you haven't noticed, everything goes downhill from 5'8" and below. So to be considered a normie now, you require a 6 out of 10 face at 5'8", and then at 5'6", a 7 out of 10 face. And at 5'4", you'd have to have a 9 out of 10 face just to be a normie. Not a high tier normie, not a Chad, just a normie. Another trend and pattern we see is heights 6'2" to 6'4". They're practically equivalent. The difference between the heights of 6'2" and 6'4" is practically non-existent in regards to desirability. You can see that the same face card gets you the same tier. Right here and here. At 5'10" and 5'11", your height is practically negligible. It's invisible, no one thinks twice about it. It's just your face card that actually plays the biggest role in your SMV. In case you don't know what SMV is, it's sexual market value, and it's comprised mainly of your face and your height. For example, in the case of Lacey and Marlon, Lacey would have to gain 2 inches going from 5'6" to 5'8", and if we plot that, he would need a 9 out of 10 face card to be considered Chad. Having a 9 out of 10 face card alone is practically impossible. And if we just look at where Marlon sits, we plot him from 6'5" all the way up with a face card of 7, it's probably even higher. By looking at this chart and comparing Lacey with Marlon, he gets mogged. As I mentioned, each 1 unit
Fucking
is
who?
This is a model.
Forsen's nemesis,
And
happy
to
laugh,
note, there's a
neck
huge
vein
bonus that occurs
incoming.
at 6 foot. You can see a divot that
No
occurs
further links.
at 5'11", you just need a 5 out of 10 face to be considered a normie, whereas at 6 foot, you can have a huge phalo in your face, be a 4 out of 5 on the scale of 10, and still be a normie. So that's a cool bonus that kicks in right here. There's an interesting thing that happens when you reach the height of 6'2". Your height taps out. It's no longer gonna improve things for you if you get taller. Actually, till the height.
Wait. 6'3" is only 190.5? Then I'm taller than 6'3".
Get taller. Actually, till the height of 6'4", things start to go south. As you can see that 6'5" to 6'7", the face card requirements.
So basically, I would have to be a 6.5 face value to be a Chad.
That's because of 2 things. You're going to be a whole lot more intimidating and proportions can get whack. Also, the height difference can cause issues if the girl's a whole lot more shorter, etc. It's only a slight deviation that occurs. You can see it only decreases by a little bit. You can see how a 6'7" guy who's a normie, would be plotted right here, would be equivalent to that of a 6 foot.
I guess it's just math.
also a normie.
I guess it's just math.
Statistically speaking, that's the sweet spot. Heights.
Shut the hell up.